Kia ora, it's Ruth here and welcome to my backyard in Christchurch. This is part 2 of showing what my garden is looking like at the start of April. So if you missed part 1, go back and look at that. I also said a hello if you're watching this and you've been watching my channel for a while, and a welcome if you're brand new, and I said just a little bit about who I am. So what I'm going to do is take you through to this back part of my garden. We'll sneak between here. We will start with the glass house. So if you have a look at the tomatoes in here, this is kind of like what my whole garden has looked like with the tomatoes. Just an absolute jungle. So just like out there, the tomatoes in here, I didn't do the laterals either, and they've just gone crazy. And they've been putting a lot of effort into growing rather than tomatoes. So for the first time, I've had more tomatoes out of my glass house than inside my glass house, which is a really bad reflection on just the amount of time I've been putting into garden over the summer. But that's okay. Next summer, new year, will be better. But I've still been getting tomatoes out of here. And there's a lot of green tomatoes, which I'm not complaining about. There's still some red ones. We've got some nice big ones down here. But what I've been doing is I've been searching some green tomato recipes. I've made a whole lot of green tomato jam. Before you laugh, it's actually pretty okay. Actually really good, I'd say. I've been enjoying some green tomato jam. Also been making some green tomato pasta sauce, and I made some green tomato and zucchini fritters. So if you've got green tomatoes, don't just bin them. There are so many recipes you can do with them. So Google is your friend. Have a go, have a try. As I said in my last video, experimenting is great. So those are my tomatoes. I've got some chilies, which it's been a mix of chilies in here, so I don't even know what things are. But we've got some yellow ones, some ones that are still green. We haven't had any red ones out of these plants. Oh, there's some tomatoes. And we've got lots of holes in our tomato leaves because they got attacked by caterpillars, which I've never had them attacked by caterpillars before. Now, in the last video, I showed some basil. I've had my main basil crop actually just growing in here. And what I've been doing is just picking it off. You can see they've been very heavily picked because I know they're going to die soon. But just having them in here, they've grown surprisingly well. I grew them in here because I planned to transplant them, didn't get round to it, and I just ended up keeping on picking them, and it's been okay. So I might do that most years, is have one that stays in here and one that's outside, but I'll show you my very sad seedlings. This is why they're not going to get transplanted out. This is my kohlrabi, and then there's some spinach, and then there's some things that didn't even grow. Definitely my learning is just remember about the glass house because it doesn't get any natural rain. I need to water in here. Now if I take you down here, these are my Brussels sprouts, which I've had growing for a while in here. This one has come back nicely, but they all, as you can see, got massively attacked by the white cabbage butterflies. The new bits are going well, but my head start I'd planned hasn't worked out as well, so we'll just see how they go. Over here is 2 different types of eggplants. We've got this one, which is the baby brinjal, which there's a few, you can see still on it. And this one is just a normal eggplant. You can see this one is massively thorny. Another learning for me with having a little one is don't plant a thorny plant right by the door of the glass house, because my little one loves coming in here with me and I'm always having to lift him over or like push it back as he's exploring, because I love that he's exploring. I love that he's doing gardening with me. I don't want him to get spiked, and so learning if I do grow the spiky one, grow it at the back of the glass house next year, or maybe even I just won't, to make it a lot safer. So that's what's going on in here in my glass house. If I just get past the spikes. Over here I had corn and sweet peas, and that's all been pulled out. Here I had a massive celery that went to flower, and I chopped it out. Stem was so thick it was just hard to chop through. But I've left these side ones. I'm interested to see if they'll grow. I've got some leeks going on, and these broccoli need to get picked. They're starting to open up. So when they're a tight head, they're good, but when they start opening up like this, they really need to be picked. Here is my herb patch. There's some parsley, there's some tarragon, there's some salad barnett, there's a whole lot of stuff. There's some chickweed, which I'm leaving in here because chickweed is edible. If you haven't tried it, and I probably doubt you have, because if you're like me, you see it as a weed and pick it out. I was trying it last winter, and it's like a mild spinach flavour, and I actually really enjoyed it. I ended up chopping it up and using it like with spinach with eggs and in different salads and things. So I'm purposely letting it grow this year, and I'm going to try and harvest it as much as possible so it doesn't get away on my garden, but it's actually being used as an edible plant, which it is. So if you have chickweed in the garden, as long as you don't spray or anything, give it a go. Highly recommend it. It's actually okay. So this garden here is another one of my zucchinis on a pole. I actually am at a point where I need to tie it up again, but you can see it's got a couple of zucchini on it. Here's some more beans which I'm letting now go to seed, and these ones I can actually dry and eat in the winter. Here's one that's already dried. A couple more broccoli plants which have teeny tiny heads on them. One of our kale trees which has been going for at least a year, and here's one lot of scarlet runners, and the other lot has completely fallen over. So to make these trellises I just got some stakes and some rebar and put them together. I obviously didn't put the stakes far enough into the ground, and as it got heavy it fell over. But again, the bean season has kind of ended. They've got really big and I'm saving them for some seeds. Again, I'll have way too many, so if you want some scarlet runner seeds I can share. And the cool thing about scarlet runners is you leave their roots in the ground and they resprout again next year, so I don't even need the seeds. So I love scarlet runners, I love runner beans. So these ones have been in the ground 2 years, 3 years. The other one's been 2 years, so I might redo these 3-year-old ones to give them some more energy, but I'll leave the other ones in definitely because I'll definitely be able to do another season. Behind them is some more leeks, and here are some Brussels sprouts that I planted at the start of December. I planted the seeds and then planted them out in here, so you can see the Brussels sprouts are starting to come out. But if you saw that, you can also see, not sure, the little white flies flying around. This is one reason that you plant things at the right time of year. Brassicas like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, all those things, they can grow through summer, but as you saw with my Brussels sprouts in the glass house, they were decimated by caterpillars. These ones have whitefly. If they're grown at the correct time of year, they don't get all these problems. But I just wanted to give it a go. Wasn't expecting them to grow this big. You also saw that the sprouts are tiny. My hope is that with how big they are, they will bulk up over winter. But again, it's an experiment, so we'll try. You see this one here is massive. It goes all the way down there. It's got lots of Brussels sprouts, but they really get spaced. And if you look under this leaf, it's just littered with whitefly. Once the winter comes, they will all die off. So what I'm doing is just leaving them because they're not causing a problem for me and my plants, and I know they'll go soon. So this garden here has got mainly kohlrabi, a silver beet, some parsley, some chickens, and a rogue sunflower. And again, I've got herbs all along the front of my chicken coop, which is really good because what I do is I push them through the chicken coop fence, and so the chickens can self-medicate. If they need anything, they can peck at them. Sometimes I'll have, say, the tarragon pushed through for ages, never gets touched, and then 1 week it's all gone. So I'm like, well, that's good, they knew they needed it. And I've got 6 chooks in here, all hiding up by the water. And I have had things growing in the chicken coop for them, but it's completely all gone now. So I'm going to need to grow some more, and how I do that is I start the seedlings generally just in the ground in there with a cover on top, and then I take the cover off when it's a good size when the chickens will be able to get to them. Here is our kale jungle, compost. Worm farm is actually currently empty. I decided between feeding the chickens, the compost and the worm farm, with having a little one was just a little bit too much, so I decided the worm farm would go and I gave away the worms. I'll definitely do a worm farm again later on sometime, but for now, for me, just the composting and the chickens is enough. And let's have a look for eggs. Oh, they've laid on the other side this time. Normally they're always on this side, but I see we've got 4. So we've only got 4 girls laying at the moment. And I'll show you the chickens so I can show you which ones I know are laying, which ones haven't started. So what you can know is you can know by the tops of their head which ones are laying, which ones aren't. So these are young, they haven't got old enough to lay yet, which is why they're not. But they need to be fully out to their combs. If they're short, they're not ready. So if we have a look here, you can see that girl there has got a small comb, and the girl at the far side, she's got a small comb too. So those 2 are the ones that are not laying. If we have a look here, you can see this one here, the comb is, she's running away. The combs are up big and tall. So that's how you know if your chickens are laying or not. So there you have it. That's a whirlwind tour around the edible part of the garden. So through April, my main plan is to be 1, get those seedlings in that I showed you. 2, just do a really big tidy up. What I'll be doing is I'm thinking I might plant some cover crops this year because I won't have as many gardens going, or sections of gardens. I can tell you more about cover crops in another video. And yeah, feeding the garden a little bit, not too much because winter's not the big growth time, but the soil needs some feeding, and general tidying up, making sure I've got everything out so it's just able to roll over in winter. One thing before I leave I'll say about pea straw is pea straw means there's virtually no weeding that needs to be done. As I've been saying, I've been neglecting this garden over the past year really, like I've been dabbling in it but not as much as I have been, but as you've been seeing there's not that many weeds, and that's because I've got mulch in the paths and pea straw in the gardens, which saves so much time. So if you're time poor, if you've got a really busy life but you want to have a garden, mulch, do that and it will save so much time. So as I said in the first video, I'm going to be trying to get these videos out a bit more often again because I do really enjoy making them, and I've really appreciated people asking where these videos are and asking me to make them again. So if you have anything you'd like to learn more about, if you'd like me to explain some more things that I've talked about, let me know. If I don't know the answers, I'll be able to research them and give it a go myself. So yeah, let me know. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you again. Ka kite.